Was there any consideration to the government in return for the benefits of no audit, no investigation, no challenge or pursuit of refunds or other penalties?
Again, Senator, I'm unable to comment because of litigation.
If this kind of behavior is okay with the chairman, I'll just pursue other questions. But, you know, what goes around comes around in terms of dodging questions.
I believe it's very clear that
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent sat before the United States Senate and was asked one of the simplest questions imaginable. Was anything paid in return for the agreement not to audit, investigate, or pursue any tax claims against the Trump family? He refused to answer. 3 times. Watch this, and then we will break down exactly what he was hiding from.
Thanks very much. Secretary, welcome. Have you identified any precedent in Treasury or IRS history for the agreement not to audit, investigate, or pursue any tax claims against the Trump family or businesses?
I can't identify any precedent where 400,000 tax returns, including the people you just mentioned and all of their employees, were leaked in a violation of one of the most sacred duties of the IRS.
So let me cut to that then. Senator. The leak was by a contractor. Can you tell me what contribution is being sought by Treasury or by the IRS for the harm done by the contractor? To a certain extent, your organization and the IRS are the victim of the contractor's malfeasance or negligence. What is being pursued by way of contribution by that contractor?
Well, the ranking member chastised me for cutting the contractor's contracts off, and we have removed their contracts, their ability to do business with Treasury and the IRS.
But there is no contribution into this particular case.
Again, Senator, you weren't here earlier, but I'm unable to discuss most of this because of ongoing litigation.
Yeah, I know everybody likes to say that, but the constitutional...
We like to follow the law, Senator.
And the law is that the Congress has constitutional oversight functions that do not disappear simply because there is litigation, however convenient it may be, by way of providing answers. So we have no precedent for it. No contribution is being sought from the contractor at fault. Was there any consideration to the government in return for the benefits of no audit, no investigation, no challenge or pursuit of refunds or other penalties?
Again, Senator, I'm unable to comment because of litigation. Treasury is represented by the Department of Justice in all matters. They act as our attorneys, so I would suggest that you direct your questions to Acting Attorney General Blanche.
Yeah, well, I've had a lot of times people who are before us invite me to ask my questions of somebody who's not before us, but you're the one who is before us, and I think you ought to know if there was any consideration offered or paid in return for that settlement. It's a very simple fact question. Was there or was there not consideration?
Again, there's ongoing litigation, and I suggest that you speak with the Treasury attorneys.
If this kind of behavior is okay with the chairman, I'll just pursue other questions. But, you know, what goes around comes around in terms of dodging questions.
I believe it's very clear that witnesses of any kind cannot discuss ongoing litigation.
They can certainly discuss a fact that they are aware of. The fact that there is some litigation out there doesn't mean that a witness can't say, yeah, there was no consideration, or yes, there was consideration. Was there a defense analysis memo? It's referenced in the judge's decision in Florida. Was there a defense analysis memo prepared by the IRS? And more specifically, did you see it?
Again, I'm not going to be able to comment on these matters.
Mr. Chairman, this just makes no sense at all. I've been a lawyer all my life. I have some idea of what is protected when you have a ongoing bit of litigation. Whether this individual has seen an official memo from within his own department is a very simple question to answer, and I think it's completely inappropriate to have this game of dodgem be pursued without any consequences. Well, last of all, here's another question. Was there any analysis of what harm befell President Trump from having his taxes released when every president since Nixon released their taxes, and he had promised to? Did anybody analyze whether there was actually any harm at all to him in those circumstances?
So there was a crime. President's rights under 6103 of the IRS code was violated, and equally as important, 400,000 taxpayers had that right violated, including every employee of the Trump administration, the housekeepers at Doral, the greenskeepers, the cashiers.
And you're welcome to pursue all of
seem to
that,
care.
but it doesn't answer the question of whether the president actually suffered harm. And you're not answering that question either.
What you just watched is what obstruction looks like when it wears a suit and sits in a Senate hearing room. Scott Bessent was not asked a complicated legal question. He was not asked to reveal classified information. He was not asked to speculate about pending litigation. He was asked whether consideration was paid in return for an agreement that shielded the Trump family from IRS audits, investigations, and tax penalty pursuits. That is a yes or no question, and he refused to answer it 3 separate times while hiding behind the same litigation shield every time the pressure built. Here is why that matters. Senator Whitehouse opened by asking whether there was any precedent in Treasury or IRS history for an agreement not to audit, investigate, or pursue tax claims against the Trump family or businesses. Bessent did not say yes, there is precedent. He did not say no, there is not. He pivoted immediately to the tax return leak, which was a contractor issue that has nothing to do with whether such an agreement exists or whether anything was exchanged for it. That pivot was not accidental. That is a technique. When you cannot answer the actual question, you raise a different grievance loudly enough to change the subject. Then came the contribution question. The leak was committed by a contractor. Senator Whitehouse asked what Treasury or the IRS was pursuing from that contractor by way of compensation. Bessent's answer was that the contractor's contracts had been removed, not that damages were being sought, not that legal action was underway, just that they had been cut off from future business. For a breach that Senator Whitehouse characterized as one of the most serious violations of taxpayer privacy in IRS history, the consequence was losing a contract. That is not accountability. That is the minimum possible response dressed up as action. But the exchange that should concern every American watching is the one Bessent refused to engage with at all. Was there consideration paid in return for the no audit, no investigation agreement? In legal terms, consideration means something of value exchanged between parties. The question Whitehouse was asking is simple. Did the Trump family or businesses receive a shield from IRS scrutiny? And if so, what did the government receive in return? Bessent said he could not comment because of ongoing litigation. Whitehouse pushed back correctly, noting that the existence of litigation does not prevent a witness from confirming or denying a basic fact. Whether consideration existed is not a protected legal detail. It is a factual reality that Bessent either knows or does not know, and his refusal to engage with it tells you everything about which of those two options is true. Then Whitehouse asked about a defense analysis memo referenced in a judge's decision in Florida. Did it exist? Did Bessent see it? Again, the answer was that he could not comment. A Secretary of the Treasury claiming he cannot confirm whether he has read a memo from within his own department is not a legal protection. It is a performance of ignorance designed to avoid accountability while maintaining plausible deniability. And then the final question landed the hardest. Was there any analysis of what harm actually befell President Trump from having his taxes released, given that every president since Nixon had voluntarily released their taxes and Trump had promised to do the same? Bessent pivoted again to the rights of the 400,000 other taxpayers whose information was also leaked, including housekeepers and greenskeepers at Doral, which is a real concern. But it is also a deliberate redirection away from the specific question of whether the sitting president actually suffered demonstrable harm from a disclosure that every other modern president treated as a basic transparency obligation. Here is the pattern across this entire exchange. Every time a specific factual question was asked, Bessent either hid behind litigation, redirected to a different grievance, or suggested the senator ask someone who was not in the room. Senator Whitehouse noted correctly that this behavior has consequences and that what goes around comes around in terms of dodging questions. The chairman defended Bessent by claiming witnesses cannot discuss ongoing litigation. Whitehouse's response was precise. A witness can absolutely confirm or deny a basic fact. The existence of litigation somewhere in the legal system does not grant blanket immunity from answering whether something happened or did not happen. What this hearing established is straightforward. There appears to be an agreement shielding the Trump family from IRS audit and investigation activity. No precedent for such an agreement has been identified. No compensation is being pursued from the contractor responsible for the largest taxpayer privacy breach the senator could identify. And the Treasury Secretary of the United States sat before Congress and refused to say whether anything was exchanged in return for that shield. The American people pay for the IRS. The American people are subject to its audits, and the American people deserve to know whether the same rules apply to the family occupying the White House. Based on what happened in this hearing, the answer to that question is being deliberately kept from them. Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe because there is a lot more of this coming.